We got him? All right, let's go out talk to Monte Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area, covers the Golden State Warriors. Hey, Monte, how you doing, man?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing
Hanging
well.
in there, man.
I'd like to think that, we have a finger on the pulse of Warrior fans, and I think that most Warrior fans are encouraged right now. And let me ask you if you are encouraged, and if so, what has been one of the most encouraging parts about this 6-3 start as far as you're concerned?
Well, if you're a Warriors fan, you should be encouraged. I mean, they came out of training camp kind of almost boasting about how tight the team was and how good they were and how deep they were and how, they thought they were going to be able to make some noise. And, when the season started, you still want to see that, okay, prove it. And then they lost the opener to the Suns. Everybody's like, well, what Steve Kerr always said, and so some of the players said, this is going to take some time. Chris Paul said it's going to take some time. And to see them get off to a 6-3 start when they played in 8 different cities in their first 9 games, because let's face it, that last home game was really a road game. They were on the road, they come home for a game, and they go back out on the road. So it's just like a road game. It's a one-stop. So to come out of that 6-3, knowing that Draymond Green isn't quite where he will be in a few weeks, and didn't play obviously last night against the Nuggets, and seeing where they are, see how Steph is playing, I think there's good reason to be encouraged. Chris Paul has solved some of one of the issues that we've seen for years is turnovers. When he's on the court now, the non-Steph minutes aren't like a misery time for the Warriors. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic if you're a Warriors fan because this team has room to get better and they should get better.
No doubt, Monte. Always a pleasure. Now, look, you've covered this team. You know this team, and we haven't talked for a while. But, Monte, one of my questions I have is about Klay Thompson. And Steiny was giving him love for we'll just deem it a new role to where he's not hunting shots and he's kind of playing more within the offense. But he did enter this season in a contract year. And I watch every game, and I'm rooting for Klay. I don't want him in another uniform, but I do wonder, Monte, if he were to be this Klay Thompson we've seen, I know it's only 9 games, from a production standpoint, do you think maybe that's why he doesn't have it? Like, is that good enough, or is that why his contract situation's where it's at?
I think the key thing that you said is that it's only 9 games. And if you follow Klay's career, you will find stretches where he goes 2 or 3 weeks where he's kind of ordinary.
Okay.
And then he'll go 2 or 3 weeks where he's like incredible, So you don't always know what you're going to get over a short span of time with Klay. But in the long run, generally speaking, he's been an all-star caliber player. Now, is he the same Klay Thompson he was 5-6 years ago? No. Certainly not on defense. I mean, he can guard up on defense. He can guard guys that are big. He can guard guys that are, a lot of power forwards. But you put him on a point guard, like you said 5-6 years ago, and he's going to be in trouble against most point guards. His lateral quickness is not the same as it was prior to the Achilles and the knee injuries. So, and that's understandable. But he's done a great job against some big forwards, I'd say. I mean, Jason Tatum, even Kevin Durant on opening night. I thought Klay did a tremendous job. KD was 7 of 22 against him, for the most part against him on opening night. There were a couple of big stops against Aaron Gordon last night. So I think Klay's defense is just different than it was. It's good against bigger players, not so good against smaller players. Offensively, though, I wouldn't worry about his shot. If he can't shoot for 2 months, then you worry about it. And you do wonder if maybe the contract situation is kind of impacting his performance. But when I look at Klay, I see him as a guy who wants to be here. The Warriors want him to be here. This is a year where he can show that he's still, an all-star caliber player. And if he's not, then he can't command all-star caliber money. That's the bottom line. That's the way the Warriors are looking at it. And that's the way Klay has to look at it, too. He has to show them that he can still be that guy. And so far, it's been hit and miss. I mean, there's been moments, but you want to see one of those Klay Thompson runs where he goes for 3 or 4 games where it's like, okay, 37 in one game,
right.
32 in the next game. You want to see that, and you haven't seen it yet.
Monte Poole joining us on 95.7 The Game. He covers the Warriors for NBC Sports Bay Area. Let me ask you a little bit about Andrew Wiggins. Obviously, he's off to a slow start. I guess, the knock on him seems to be that, he just doesn't exude happiness. Doesn't show a lot of emotion. What do you think's going on with Wiggins right now?
Yeah, that knock has been there even when he was playing well. He's not one of those guys who doesn't do a lot of outward emotion. Every now and then you see a little flare up. He gets a great dunk on somebody. Whoa, look at Wiggins. He's a little emotional second or two. But I think it's kind of, we can speculate all we want. I mean, obviously there are times when you watch him play so far this year when he almost seems preoccupied. Especially on defense. There's missed assignments and he falls asleep sometimes. If he's not on the ball, he does fall asleep sometimes. If he's on the ball, he seems to be more engaged. But there's just times when he seems to drift out of the moment, and you don't know why. But anything you would try and guess is pure speculation. But again, I think go back to the 9 games, and if this is the Wiggins they're going to get all season, then it's not really going to, obviously not going to be what they want and not what he wants. But I think it's too early to say that. But you're right. When you say slow start, I think that's an understatement. Wiggins has really not been anywhere near the player he can be. And it's not just his scoring. I mean, he's starting to rebound a little bit now, but I mean, you go back to it, he had a game where he had no rebounds.
Yeah.
And he's had last night, first half, he was not really with rebounding. Second half, he came back and grabbed a few. But you want him to be active. With Wiggins, it's always how aggressive and active he is. And there's only flashes of that so far. Last night, when I think Loon fed him for a dunk. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll get Wiggins going. He got a little moment there where he got to get up and flush one. So you're waiting to see that. I think this homestand is going to be bigger for him than anybody else on the team. And that's why. I think he really needs that to show that, okay, I'm not the guy who you saw the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm getting back to being myself.
Monty, good stuff. I got to be honest. I don't know if you heard me, but I told Steiny when it was first announced about CP3, but he's a legend. He's been a steward in the league. The fit has been seamless. So I take that L, and he's controlling the game, plus 59, Monty, and he ain't even shooting well, which I think will improve. But I got to sneak in my Kuminga question. This is a big year for him, 12-3, 22% from 3. What have you made from JK early on?
It's more inconsistent than I thought it would be. And he seems to – there's a couple of things with JK that you want to see that you're not seeing. One of those things is that there still are too many instances where he seems to forget he has teammates. He'll come down and he'll dribble the ball down all the way up the court, and then he'll get into the offense, and it'll be just him. And, there's been a number of 0-pass possessions with JK where he has the ball from the time it's inbounded at the other end all the way to a shot is taken. And it's like, dude, this is not the way the Warriors want to play. I understand you want to get yours, but you have to get yours within the offense. And you got 4 guys out there, and usually one of those guys is open, and you're not always looking for that. And so that's something he has to be better at. And, I thought that growth would come this year. You haven't seen much of it so far. His assist totals are not where they could be, but he seems to be focused on getting his own. And again, there's moments for that. You like that aggression, that desire. He's one of the few guys on this team who can attack the rim with a vengeance and get to the foul line. You want to see that. But will he make the free throws? So you got all these things in play. I just think there are times when he looks really good, and there are times when he looks like, ooh. You ask that question, and it's the same question you asked of Jordan Poole last year. I asked myself, what is he trying to do?
Right.
Wow.
What is he trying to do? And you can't figure, it's like, what are you doing kind of thing. And so there's still a little bit more of that than they would like. And the question is whether they can break that over the course of the season. They obviously, they took his option for next season and still believe in him. But, this is a huge season for him. And if he can't find, his level working with Chris Paul, then the Warriors have to ask themselves if he'll ever be worth big money.
Yeah, that's a good point, Monty. Monte Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Thank you so much, Monty. Really appreciate it as always, man.
All right, boys. Take care.
All right, that's